I was tapping, I was swiping and not even I won't even swiper, no swiper. I was a swiper. I used to tell people what to do with their money, but do I even talk about when I messed up my own money? That is honestly the reason why I got into creating content about finances, personal finances, and things like that. And now moving even more into financial planning is because my tea, when it comes to my money, is just as good as probably what's going on. And I think that what allows my clients and community to understand and to connect with me is because I'm like real when it comes to spilling what happened. And I wanted to take this video to talk about my biggest money fumbles. And honestly, I learned about money when I didn't have any money. And I have said that has been worn on my chest since all of this. And honestly, that's the reason why I rebranded my newsletter Fumble to Fund It, because I talk about ways that people fumble their money and then how they can become more funded. And I've had a lot of them. But now I know better. So now I am doing better and I am sharing better with you to handle your money. So we're going to talk about the different money mistakes that I had. I already have 5, but if you want me to give you more, I will give you more. So we're going to talk about those 5. And if you ever made a money mistake, whether it is overspending, not saving enough, or just ignoring your finances, trust me, you are not alone. It's not only just me, but everybody who is period. Have you seen the statistics when it comes to money anxiety or financial anxiety, debt, savings, emergency fund? It's all over the place. And I know that right now when I'm filming this, that usually they're talking about, oh, it's not a recession. But I have been saying since I have been brown in the face that people have been going through their own personal recessions for some time. And that's the reason why I wanted to tell you my tea around my money habits or back in the day, is because I want you to see that you're not alone. Drop a comment in the bank. So the wallet is going to be where I give all the description of everything, like links and stuff. The bank is going to be where you to make your deposits, give me some comments and things like that. So in the bank, let me know your biggest money fumbles in the past, even some money fumbles that you have right now, so we can go collectively build and do rebound. So I believe the reason why my clients like me is because I've been through some stuff. I usually say that I'm not the finance bro, but I'm just a girl that knows about dough. But also when you stroll, you see a lot of finance bros tell you, oh, well, you messed up. You should have did this and you should have did that. You should have 10,000 saved. You should invest 500 in an VOO. But when you understand you're going to have $500 for an emergency fund, how are you going to be able to do that? So we're going to walk through some of my major money ups or fumbles that I made. And if I was talking to me, I'm doing like a coaching session with me. That if I was talking to me a couple years ago, this is how I would suggest myself to actually, refine and redefine, or to actually understand the issue, solve it, and then have a strategy behind it. So let's get into the first one. The first money F up I had, my budget didn't work. I'm gonna tell you why my budget didn't work. Because I didn't have one. I didn't have one. So back then, I just got out of college. I was making $10.71 an hour. I wasn't taking budgeting seriously at all. I was just happy that I was on my own. I was happy that I was making some money. I was away from home. I could do what I want to, all the things. But in reality, budget was the furthest thing from my mind, and at the front of my mind was when those paychecks was going to get dropped in my bank account. And I wasn't budgeting for reality of what my money is. I wasn't budgeting for saving anything. Heck, I was just like, oh, I need to open up a 401k. Okay, click. But I didn't understand what was going on in my 401k, how things align. So doesn't it sound like something that I talk about now? That's the reason why I'm able to talk about it. So if I was talking to a younger Nadia, what I would tell her is that instead of ignoring your budget and forcing it, that look to see where are your income streams are. What are your expenses, meaning your bills, but also what other expenses do you have? How much were you spending when it comes to eating out? How much were you spending when it goes to mindless shopping? Told you I did it all. How much were you saving in your emergency fund, and then what budget actually aligns it to run? I Based upon what people were suggesting, they probably would have told me to do a 50-30-20. But looking back, that method probably wouldn't have worked for me. I probably would have done a zero-based budget, meaning matching with the reality of my money and checking in to understand it. And the reason why I probably would have created an outline for my budget or a baseline also is that job will be the job that I actually get laid off from and laid off from for years. Meaning I didn't have an emergency fund. I took the 401k that I did have and I drained it to sustain me until my 2 week severance was actually paid out, and that wasn't until a couple of months due to the fact how many people was getting laid off at the time. Doesn't that sound familiar? Yeah. But that's what I would have told myself is, yes, the whole theory and concept around paycheck to paycheck really wouldn't apply to me because honestly, I didn't understand what my means were. That's what I would tell you to do, is to understand what your means are, create and formulate a budget that works. Start making savings a bill, even if it's $10, $20, or whatever, and then start determining how much I check in with my money. And paycheck to paycheck ain't fun, but it was my reality back then. It wasn't even paycheck to paycheck. It was paycheck to Monday or paycheck to Saturday sometimes. And if I would have set up my budget better and sooner, I probably would have saved myself a lot of stress, because that time of my life was very stressful when it came to money. But like I said, that was when I learned about money, when I didn't have any money. So next fumble. Fumble number 2 will be no emergency fund or no emergency plan. You already kind of felt that, right? So I didn't budget and I didn't have an emergency fund. I didn't have the whole 3 to 6 months. Heck, I didn't even have a month of expenses, to be honest. And one thing that I love to tell people now is to have an emergency plan. Meaning, if I get laid off, this is what A, B, C, D looks like for me. Think of it like a SOP for how you handle your money. SOP means standard operation procedure. So I didn't have an emergency fund. I was stuck like Chuck. I didn't even negotiate my salary going into that job. Granted, I was taking $10.71, but it was people that was working there that was making the same as me and been there longer. Okay. And then I didn't even negotiate my pay going out. I didn't negotiate, well, instead of 2 weeks, can you do 3? Instead of Cobra running out in 2 months, can you do 4? The thing that a lot of people don't talk about when it comes to leaving out the door when a company lays you off is that you should negotiate the same way that you coming in, that you do going out. And honestly, one of the hard truths from that season of money is that my unemployment took a long time. I didn't understand. I didn't have a budget at 1071. So imagine even making less and then you're trying to budget it. Even if I would have just had 1 month of savings, that would have saved my sanity. So how would I tell Nadia then what Nadia knows now? I would say after that, I would want you to not only build an emergency fund strategy, but emergency plan. And then I had to actually use this strategy back in 2019 before the Pandarosa, the company that I was affiliated with then, they actually dissolved. It went like, oh, random meeting. Oh, yeah, we're going to be closing down. And then honestly, I never got my paycheck. It is 2025. I never got my last paycheck from 2019. So if I wouldn't have gone through the season back in 2010, I wouldn't be able to handle 2019. And honestly, it's been other times in between 2010 and 2019 where I found myself losing a job, losing my paycheck, and then having to figure it out. So that's the thing that I will have lesson learned that I would tell people to. Emergency fund is a nice to have, but a necessity. And I have a blog post talking about having to have emergency fund as well as an emergency plan, and then actually coming out with a product that walks you through those steps if you don't want to go through that. But if I would have told myself back in 2010 how my Fumble 1 and Fumble 2 would actually help me not only become funded like I am now, but able to formulate and talk about this, you couldn't even tell me shit. I didn't even see this coming for me. So let's go into Fumble number 3. So you're probably going to notice that the fumbles that I talk about is back in my 20s. And now funded at 40, I think that's a little thing that I want to do when it comes to like a series is talking about funded at 40, because people really don't figure out their funds sometimes until they either mid 30, 40 or going into 50. And then you figure out that you feel that you are behind. So my fumble number 3 was not tracking my spending. I'm gonna tell you something. Back when Banana Republic was bananaing, back when I was just learning about putting my clothes together, seeing things on sale, seeing designer on sale, if it was a sale, I was swiping and not even I won't even swipe or no swiper. I was a swiper. Meaning if I saw the Banana Republic had this nice sweater that was $100 and it was marked down 60%, 70%, and I just got paid, it got swiped and I forgot about it. I was the whole mindless spending, impulse spending, honey. The 20s and early 30s was when I did it. I used to spend money because it was on sale. I wasn't tracking not only what I was swiping, but also what did I have. This led for me to be seeing overconsumptionism being within my wallet as well as within my wardrobe. It's cute, but then I go back in my wallet, my home when I moved, and I saw a lot of things with tags on them that I didn't use because I was just buying it because it was on sale. And even when I moved from making, and I think I'm going to talk about this in a minute, I was starting to, when I actually started making more, I started building my money system, meaning I started to determine even if I was to make more, I still need to handle my means. I need to learn my means as well as to manage them as I grow as a person. This is even before I got into talking about money or anything like that. It's that I determine like, what is the process? What's the procedure? If you understand the movie I'm pulling from, but what's the procedure? What is the procedure? What do you do? And I didn't have any money spending SOPs. I didn't have a budget. I didn't have a savings. It was just vibes. It was more, I was vibes before vibes was a thing. I didn't see the value in my money. It was just a vibe. So what would I tell myself to do now? I would track my spending against my budget every 2 weeks to make sure I am staying on track. Do I need to pull back or can I punch up certain areas within my budget and expenses? And then I also will eventually go and suggest for myself to create a money SOP for buying things outside of my needs. Just because it's on sale doesn't mean I need to swipe or tap. I actually have a blog post that talks about all of that. Creating your money SOP, especially when it comes to overconsumptionism and when it comes to swiping, buy now, pay later, anything like that. Yeah, the nice to haves really can impact your needs to haves as well as when it comes to your long-term money planning and your long-term money goals and your life goals. Because think about it, if you are used to shopping and then you get laid off, or you shopping and you notice that tariffs are coming, or you noticing that things are trembling within your wallet, you're going to feel that you are neglecting yourself if you start to turn that way. That is the reason why I am so adamant about people finding the balance within their accounts, not only their accounts, but their accountability, but also budgeting things that you love to do in. You might can't do it at the amount that you will love to do it, but you find some, it will still increase your inner sum as well as financial wellness, but also allow you to not only have this whole theory that you're just here to pay bills and die. Does that make sense? I find that all of these fumbles actually do this. They line and link together. Please let me know in the comments or in the bank below if you have any fumbles that you want me to talk about specifically. One that I can actually think about, and I knew I was going to do this and go have a side quest, is that when I started my 401k, I didn't understand the funds that were in there. There were allocations and things like that. And as I'm seeing right now, people are going around, I want to tool out my 401k. Honey, it's not just necessarily opening a 401k, but understanding the funds that are in there and building out a plan for that. So let me know if you want me to talk about that sidebar. I think I do owe you that, but just let me know. So fumble number 5 was not, all lies together. Oh my God. Fumble number 5 was not reviewing my employer benefits. This is when I was working at a job making $10.71. Even when I was a contractor, I had benefits, didn't understand them. And then when I moved, I didn't really get an understanding of griping to them until I worked at Snoopy. That's when I had very good insurance, honey. That was like a commodity in sorts. I wasn't checking my 401k match before. I didn't understand what was going on with my target date funds, even my insurance plan, because I was only, the whole thing around it then was that, oh, I just need to get the cheapest plan. That's it. But that shift for me, when I found myself having to deal with some lady problems and my insurance would have, if I would have not changed my insurance, I would have had to come out of pocket even more. So the thing around it is that we are conditioned to not only look at how much your match is, but a thing that I call out in one of my other videos was looking, what is the match up to? Do you get 3% up to a certain dollar amount, a certain percent of what your contributions are? And when it comes to your coverage, if you're paying for this premium every month, what are the things that you are covered, how much, how things run? This is when your relationship with HR is going to become your bestie. Regardless if HR tells you all the tea or gives you a little bit of a tussle, you still need to advocate for yourself to understand what benefits do I have and how can I make this work for me. And then I've been noticing that a lot of people have been talking about their health coverage that they pay more for, that the coverage is lessened. So that's one of the things that I called out during open enrollment, is that if you just roll over into the same plan that you had and you're paying more, or you're paying the same thing, but you're not noticing that, hey, did things change? How much did I use last year? Did I have an FSA that I could have contributed to, or an HSA that I could have contributed to? And then did I use all my money? Did I let the FSA go away? That's money that's like expired. You remember single or wireless? If you didn't roll those, minutes didn't roll over, they expired. So did you have an HSA? Did you actually invest any of those monies? Those are things that I have come to learn and come to suggest and turn to tell people when it comes to your employer benefits, is to not only knowing what you are getting paid, but knowing what benefits work that you have and how to make it work for you. That is the thing that I would tell you. If I was to go back now to the 20, 30-year-old Nadia, I would actually call HR, and then actually before open enrollment, I would see, what do I currently have? How much did I use it? And then when it comes to the new, if anything rolls over, how much is that going to impact? So right now, my health is a little interesting right now. So I will be looking to see what specialists are covered, what's going on with my medication, how much can I have of certain things within my plan. And then if I was to suggest to a younger Nadia when it comes to their 401k, like I said, researching to see what funds are in there. How do they perform? What's my savings rate? And do I need to actually move things around and rebalance it every so often? Like I said, I will not only get educated with what's going on in my benefits, I will ask questions, and then I will align as needed. So let's close this out. Also, remember, if you have any more of my tea that you want me to know when it comes to my money, let me know. And also, do not forget to subscribe to my newsletter, Fumble to Fund It, where you will get a newsletter, if not monthly, at least twice a month, where we talk about things that's going on in your wallet, as well as with the economy and how it can all tussle and tug away. So before we end this, I can go on about how my money run over the years. And I think that's a thing that I want to start talking a lot more about is, hey, I went to a job and I didn't ask for more. I didn't research. When I brought, what was it? It was some kind of coin back in the day before, like when Bitcoin was starting to build, and I just brought off what people say. So you know how I say homework over the hype? I actually lived that. I actually brought a trash coin, and Yeah. So like I said, let me know if you want me to go even more into how I handled my dough in the past. I can go on and on, but that was a big five that I felt that people are going through right now. I'm noticing people coming to me about that when it comes to client work. Like I said, if you want a part two, drop it in the bank. What is one money fumble that you're actually wishes you can go back and fix? So let me know that in the bank. If you want to get your money right without fumbling like I did, make sure that, like I said, that you're subscribed to this channel, that you read my blog posts, and that you actually sign up for my newsletter. Heck, if you want to work with me, I am open to that. I am accepting clients all the time. Some of the things that I work with my clients on is budgeting and cash flow, emergency funds, investing, employee benefits, looking at your overall financial wellness and your financial wallet, so we can go through those three phases of money, which is wallet creation, wealth creation, and money management. So we cover all three within the brands and bands. All the links that you will need will be in the wallet below. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to comment. Don't forget to follow me on all forms of social media and share this video with someone. I'm letting all my tea, literally all out when it comes to talking about when it comes to money. Like I said, look in the wallet to find all links for my blog posts, newsletter, where I can be found on social media and work with me. Stay funded. That's it. I'm telling y'all all my damn business, ain't I?